This is part 2 of the tutorial where we first focus on designing the interface to make it look a little nicer to the user and a bit more professional. Now we're going to enter some code in for this application. So make sure you open up your design tutorial, your design application from part A of the tutorial. We're going to change the code. So double click on the button to get into the code editor window. You can just ignore all the stuff up the top here. So we're inside of the btn enter button. So everything that is typed in here will happen when this button is clicked. So the first thing you're going to do is declare a variable. We will talk more about variables later, but to declare a variable, we type in dim. I'm going to name my variable strname as string. So just briefly what I've done there is dim says that I've declared a variable. It stands for dimension. I've named my variable strname because it's of string type, so I've used str prefix as string. That means it is a string variable. It will contain letters in a string. It could be numbers as well, but they're all of string type. So now I'm going to make it so whatever was entered into the text box will now be stored inside of the strname variable. So I type the name of the variable, which was strname, and I set it equal to the text box. So the text box was called txtName, and I want to set it equal to the text property of the text box. So strname equals txtName.text. I've now stored whatever the user typed into the text box into strname. As soon as I click that button, it has strname has the value of whatever they typed into the text box. Next, I'm going to make a few things disappear. I want to make the button disappear because now I'm going to have a different part of the form showing. I'm going to have a message to the user. So btn enter is the name of the button, dot visible. So I'm changing the visible property to false, so it will disappear off the form when the user clicks the button. I'm going to also make the text box disappear, so txtName.visible equals false. Notice I put this line here making the text box invisible after. So txtName.visible equals false. It's now invisible. I'm going to change the label to say something different. So lbl enter dot So notice when I type LBL, nothing's coming up. So that means I didn't name my label properly. So I'm going back to my form here. I'm going to check the label. Yes, you can see it still says label 1. I'd like to change that to LBL instructions. So LBL instructions is the name of this label now. I'll go back to my code, so double click on the enter here button. Go down to where I was typing, LBL instructions. There, now you can see it comes up, so I know what the name of my label was. I'm going to say dot text because I'm going to change the text property so that it says something different. It's going to say welcome to this application, comma, space, close the quotations. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to actually say their name. So use the and symbol. We'll go over this later, but that means concatenation. This is just an introductory tutorial, so concatenate. Put an and symbol, which is just above the 7. More quotations. Oh, sorry, no, not more quotations. You want to actually put the name of your variable, so strname. Then hit the and symbol again, so concatenate, more quotations, and then space. Actually, I'm not going to put a space. I'm going to just put an exclamation mark. Then a space, so the exclamation mark will be right up against their name. So it says, welcome to this application, username. This application will close I'll just move my text box out of the way there. This application will close in 8 seconds. Have a nice day. So it's just a silly application that we're making here. So the LBL instructions.text label now says, welcome to this application, comma, space, quotation. Concatenate, use the and symbol. str name, that's the name of our variable that holds the user's name. And symbol, which is to concatenate. Quotation, exclamation mark, space. This application will close in 8 seconds. Have a nice day. Oops. Better make sure we spell nice properly. There we go. So we can run what we have. It's not quite finished. So I went to the Start Debugging button. Going to type in my name. It says, welcome to this application, enter your name, and click the button to enter. Enter here. Welcome to this application, Mrs. Floyd. This application will close in 8 seconds. Have a nice day. So we didn't finish the code to make it close. So we'll close our program, go back to the form. I'm going to add a timer so that it will close in 8 seconds. So you can look for the timer in the toolbox. Here it is. It automatically appears down here, and that's okay because you don't actually want the user to see the timer. So I'm going to have the timer selected, go to the name of the timer, TMR close, because that's the purpose of the timer. It's going to close the application. I'm going to change the time interval to 8,000 because every 1,000 is 1 second. Notice how it's enabled false. I do want it to start out false because I don't want to enable the timer until the user presses the button. So let's go back to the code. So double click on enter here, and after the button is pressed, we're going to say TMR close dot enabled. So I'm changing that property to become true. So as soon as the user clicks this button here, the BTN enter button, the timer will start counting down. Go back to your form, double click on the timer. So now we are inside of the code that will happen after 8 seconds. And what I want to happen is that the program will end. So type in end. Let's try running it to make sure it works. Start debugging button, which is like the play button. Type in your name to test it. Click on enter here. Welcome to this application, Mrs. Floyd. This application will close in 8 seconds. Have a nice day. So in maybe about 5, there we go. That was 8 seconds apparently, and the application closed. So you can play with the timer, go back to form, and adjust the time intervals to different times. But every 1,000 should be about 1 second, so 8,000 is 8 seconds. That's it for tutorial number 3.